Enter madman, stage left. The audience rises and holds their breath. They let the vampires into their house, pretend they don't see when the teeth come out. Put a band-aid on their throat. No one wants to rock the boat, and no one wants to talk about it. You're not supposed to talk about it. The curtain rises and the players come out. Webs of light spinning from their mouths. Stop looking, listen for a little while. Attention to the men behind the curtain. Just look away when you see the blood spurting down to a steady drip. I promise to leave you a little bit. I'll be back for another drink tomorrow. I love the taste of your terror and your sorrow bathing in your blood. It's never enough.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Iron Mountain Hour. It is Thursday, December 14th, 2023. You almost got me there again, November 2023. My name is Cliff. I'm coming to you live from the middle of the Iron Mountain here in Carter County, Tennessee. It's so good to have you join us. Be sure and subscribe to the channel on YouTube and on X, and as well as Rumble. So get us on all those places there. Like the videos, share them around with your friends in the Tri-Cities and surrounding areas. Let's get this channel out. Make it a place where folks who see the bigger picture on the national and global stage can see how it's affecting them locally. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce my partner in crime for the night, Mr. Aaron Armageddon of the Armageddon Hour podcast. Let's make sure his audio is coming in loud and clear. Let me get some sounds from you there, Mr. Armageddon.
I'm trying to get my earpods to connect.
Well, I hear your fan there, so I'm going to cut back out for just a second and let you get that taken care of, and I'll get right back with you there. So yeah, man, it's good. Glad to have you with us again. If you're on X, please be sure and subscribe to the channel. Hey, what's up, Scannerfood? Glad to have you in the chat. We're going to get into a little bit of news from Scannerfood here in just a little bit. So it's nice to have them in the chat with us. Maybe they can, actually did have one thing I was going to ask them about a little bit later when we get into their story. So yeah, while Aaron gets his audio in order there, I'll go ahead and tell you to be sure to go over and follow Scannerfood on Twitter. Follow them on Facebook. If I'm not mistaken, that's the one thing I wanted you to clarify for me there, Scannerfood. Did you have to make a new page on Facebook? Were you not called Scanner Feed before that? Or am I just going crazy there? But this is the Scannerfood on Twitter. Go over there and follow them, or X as it's now called. And again, we're all about free speech here at the Iron Mountain Hour, and that's one of the reasons we've chosen to stream on X. And you know, it costs us money to do that, so definitely go over there and subscribe to X as well. And it's where, you know, we can say whatever we want. We don't have to worry about censorship. And as we're going to get into a little bit, heck, we'll go ahead and start on this. I'll tell you a little bit about it while Aaron's getting his stuff together. The whole thing started back when I messaged Scannerfood because they shared on Twitter that they'd been put in Facebook jail, basically, and there was not a lot of clarification given. So I messaged him and asked him for a little more details, and apparently it started back with all the way back in February. They had a video that a person from one of their followers had shared with them that showed a couple of pretty hard fouls apparently in the basketball game, and the refs weren't calling them, and they were saying, hey, let's do better. Well, they got taken down. The videos got taken down for bullying and harassment. And they're at this time, it appears that they're not actually being censored from Facebook. What it is basically, I'll just read their statement on it, and we'll do that while we're waiting on Aaron. So while tech censorship is something we have to worry about, and particularly on Facebook, there are some things you just can't say or you'll get banned. I don't think that's what happened with Scannerfood. And now, if you're not familiar, we've talked about Scannerfood several times on the channel, and also Elizabeth and Carter County News and Priority News and Alerts. We like both those channels a lot. We think they're very important because they provide insight to the community about what's going on, not being an official voice. These are concerned citizens who monitor the airwaves on the scanners, and they let us know what's going on there when the public service or authorities, as they're often referred. I don't like that word for our public servants, but when our public servants fail to inform us of things, we have Scannerfood and pages like Elizabeth and Carter County Priority News and Alerts. And Aaron, I'm getting feedback in my ears from you. If you could mute. Thank you, sir. Alrighty, but I'll go ahead and read the statement that Scannerfood sent over to me when I reached out to them today. So again, with the background of that they were basically got the page suspended, and that may have been when I'm thinking y'all were Scannerfeed. Okay, it's always Scannerfood. Okay, I guess it's one of those things they call Mandela effect, but it's really just you can't remember anything, Hey, what's up, Dalton? My bird rises and the ladies come out, but no one wants to talk about it. I'm not sure what that means, Dalton, but thank you for joining us. I'm so glad to have you with us. Hey, Dalton, just in time for you, I'll raise my dogfish head, since you always are interested to know what kind of beverage I'm having tonight, and don't want to disappoint you, so there's a dogfish head for you there. I know it's pretty good, man. I mean, like I said, I'm not a big IPA guy, but I do like them from time to time. I just like a beer with flavor. So, with regard to the Scannerfood post, we'll get back into. They lost their page. It was always called Scannerfood. I'm just crazy. But basically, it's bullying and harassment things that were getting them pulled down, and it was, I guess, because they were showing the incident in the game, and I can understand that, I guess, but most recently they're talking about getting throttled by spam filters, and that's what's actually been causing them to have trouble getting this petition out. And the petition they've been wanting to share is about radio encryption on the public airwaves, or the public scanners by our local public services. So, for example, there were counties in Virginia that are wanting to go totally encrypted communications on their police airwaves, or police radios, or EMS radios, and all the different county service radios. And this totally stops Scannerfood from being able to do the service that they do, which is volunteer, to the best of my knowledge. I don't think they're funded by anybody, but they get that information out to the public. And a couple examples we gave was Scannerfood in Carter County. We had a bus delay. Right, nobody told, the parents weren't even told, apparently, because it was after the bus was already started running. Came across the scanner. Somebody could have alerted the parents of the school, but nobody did. But that's why we have Scannerfood, and it's just a really easy one. But we've used their content several times on the channel, and I've made the point several times also as to why it is so important to have independent voices. Because in one of the first episodes, we showed that that most of even our local media, I think they do a really good job on a lot of things. Ultimately, they have a outside interest that owns a lot of them. Sinclair, Nextel, or I'm sorry, Nexstar. The local papers are owned by outside interests. We went in depth into that, and that's not to say the people who work there are not great people. I think they are. I think especially an example really recently has been the Sean Williams story, which they've really been on, and they've stayed on that, and that's one it seems like that the local authorities would have wanted had to die. But WJHL in particular has stayed on that, and so credit where credit is due. But in a lot of times there are things that don't make the news that are important to people anyway, And we need a place to share those, and that's where places like Scannerfood and Elizabeth and Carter County Priority News and Alerts come in. We see things like, especially, it's an all-volunteer crew. I talked to Elizabeth and Carter County, and their staff, they'll monitor the airwaves, and they'll basically critique, call out the dispatcher if the dispatcher's doing something that she shouldn't be doing over the airwaves, or call out the police if they shouldn't, or they also commend them if they hear them doing a great job on there. They're pretty good about that, and they're pretty good about calling for accountability where it's needed, and recognizing improvement when it happens. So when it comes to independent media, there's lots of stories that slip through the cracks. There's lots of stories that people may not have time to watch on the news, but they'll see it when they're scrolling through Facebook. And Scannerfood and Elizabeth and Carter County Priority News Alerts have managed to get that to them. And so we salute you all, and we appreciate you. And we think independent media is very important. That's why we do this show, because like I said, as good as the local news are, there's several things that are not making it into it. One of them that we don't really see too much of is the petition that I see what you say, Dalton. Sorry, man. All right, Armageddon Hour, I'm going to bring you in there, and we're going to welcome Aaron Armageddon of the Armageddon Hour podcast, and his video is...
I think I got the corner of my head.
Yeah,
there.
his video is messed up there.
Can you hear my audio now?
Yeah, I've got you loud and clear.
All right, so
You're a little buzzy there. I don't know, man. I think I hear the fan on your laptop or something. But we've got, let's see, the algorithm from Scannerfood in the chat. The algorithm of the video apparently, and something, the reach is being throttled since we started sharing the petition. Yes, and in the description of this video, I've shared the petition. And what the petition is basically to... They understand, and they tell me in an email, and also on their posts, that some things have to be encrypted. I mean, if you're going to raid a meth house, you're not going to want to have that broadcast over the airwaves. You're going to want to keep that to yourself. And the police do need some things to operate in secrecy, so they recognize that, but they also say, for everything else, there's no reason to encrypt the whole public communications channels. This is the way that a large portion of the public stays informed of what's going on in their community. And now, in the description of this video on YouTube, I don't think it'll be there on Twitter because of the way that I share onto Twitter, but you'll find the link to go to their petition. I've signed it myself. And you can sign it publicly, or you can sign it anonymously. But in the description of the video, you'll find that there. And let's see if we can pull it up on the page here too, and show you all the page. Yeah, stop the routine encryption of communications by the Virginia State Police. And they've got 5,680 signatures up to a 700 or 7,500 signature goal. Now, Scannerfeed has on Twitter, I think they have 10,000 followers, and they have hundreds of thousands of followers on Facebook. But when they're trying to share this petition out, because they're sharing a link from outside or something like that, Facebook basically is flagging it as spam, and they're not able to share the petition out there. So if you would, share this out there. And I love this, the Sig Semper Tyrannis and the Virginia flag, thus to tyrants, and the circle over the scanner there. So it's basically the scanner is... to me, that speaks a powerful message. Basically, the scanner is the way we basically are able to do that. We're able to keep those would-be tyrants in check, the public communication, and the scanner is one of the ultimate symbols of that. At least that's the way I see that. So, any thoughts on that, Aaron? Well, guess not. We've got you there, Scannerfood. Though we shared the petition, and everybody in that chat, if you'll go and check that out and sign that thing and send it on over. We're going to get into some news and current events now, though. Thank you for joining us, Scannerfood. I don't know why I thought it was Scannerfeed. That's crazy. Oh yeah, my pleasure, Dalton. My pleasure. That's one of those things, man. I feel like one of the reasons that Scannerfood sent you with us, if you hadn't seen us before, one of the reasons that we do the channel is I feel like a lot of the things that we as people who live in a red area look at, like we'll hear people all the time talking about the World Economic Forum. We'll hear them all the time talking about, you're going to eat the bugs, and Klaus Schwab, and how much they dislike all these policies that are coming from the federal government, while at the same time on the local level we're adopting policies to go more towards smart cities and a smart city infrastructure. And one of the things that there's not being really discussed in these local discussions is how this ties everything into the feds. And we went over in detail in this show a 2015 document from the Obama administration about how and exactly why they were funding these smart cities. And the long and short of it came down to, it was a way to get the federal government into everything, from Department of Homeland Security to Health and Human Services to the Transportation Department, everything. They wanted a way to get into the local level and have a reason to poke around in local affairs, and that was it, is these smart cities. And we saw these coming into Johnson City about 2 years ago, and that was when we started the show. And we also have gone into the flock security cameras, and the way these create a nationwide network of over 2,000 cities already. Elizabeth and Carter and Kingsport are now in that, and our local police in Elizabeth, and I'm not sure about Kingsport, say they delete the data from these cameras after 30 days, but we don't know about Flock Security. As far as I can tell, Flock Security has a full access to anything that ever comes through it, and they have a nationwide network. So basically, if someone wanted to use it as a dragnet, or if they wanted to basically get you anywhere you were, say the FBI that has called parents who went to school board meetings in Virginia and called them terrorists, and say they decided they wanted to round up these people or something, and this is just the worst case scenario. Obviously you could say obviously it's not this bad, but I think in some cases it is this bad already. But it's just not to the point where you're seeing your neighbors dragged away. You know what I mean? I mean, some people have, but very few. But in the large scheme of things, but at any rate, the infrastructure is being set up that could really be used to dominate us in a system where we're reliant on technology and electronic devices. Now we think, or at least I think, technology is amazing. I love it. That's why I do this show. I have lots of technological devices, and I think there's some good things we could do with it. Like, if you just wanted to monitor the water levels in the streets of Johnson City with your smart poles and make sure that the flooding is draining right, okay, that sounds like a great thing. But when you're measuring and collecting data from everyone who walks off and then trading it to the federal government by way of the TVA, which is a corporation owned by the federal government, I don't think this is in our best interest. And again, that's just a quick sum up of why we do that and why we do what we do before we get into the rest of the show. And I have lost Aaron there. So we have another story here tonight. We have Bristol business owner speaks out after patron allegedly mugged in broad daylight. And this is from WCYB, Andrew McClung, and it is from today. On State Street in Bristol, around 2 p.m. Tuesday afternoon, Virginia salon owner Crystal Baker says her client had just got her hair done and was coming to give back her stylist a holiday tip. And it's when she did this, she was accosted and mugged by two people, a man and a woman, took her car keys and threw her keys in the alley across the street, assaulted her, and took her money as she was trying to get back into the salon. She had minor injuries, it said, leaving the baker and her staff in shock. And there you can see there's the remnants of the attack there. That's a blood stain on the sidewalk after it. So, I mean, to make her be dripping blood, they must have assaulted her. I mean, it might be minor injuries, but, I mean, they might have busted her nose or something. Nobody wants that. But I thought I mean, crime in a city, it is normal, but I thought it was the comments that were after that. There was more. I mean, we've got crime in Johnson City, Kingsport, Bristol all the time. As we become more and more a metro area, and you see, as you start offering more and more, I think it directly correlates with the amount of services you offer, the amount of public services you offer, the amount of this kind of crime you start to get. But could be mistaken, but you don't see this stuff happening in Limestone. I'll say that. Let's see if we got Aaron with us here.
Okay, I think we're good now.
All right, much better.
Yeah, I just got my laptop, and I knew it would attach my earbuds would connect. So.
All right, Dalton. Dalton lives among Mennonites. Well, that's cool. Yeah,
they're cool people.
Yeah, man. Like I said, I'm not a Luddite or a Mennonite, but I definitely appreciate that lifestyle as much as I do enjoy technology. There's just something like going into the woods, and there's something about living a clean lifestyle. And I've never done it other than like survival hiking and camping in the woods. But I did. I mean, when I grew up, when I was a kid, I grew up in Carter County in 1980s and 90s, and we had a like a black and white TV with a few channels, and I remember we got a color TV, and I was like, whoa, amazing. And and then my dad got my mom a VCR, or got himself a VCR for my mom's birthday, pretty much. But we thought these things were amazing, but we mostly relied on the radio, and so I'm really appreciative of the technology that radio is. Even though there was televisions around. I had a television. It wasn't like I grew up without one, but the options were very limited. The thing went off at I can't remember what time it was. Maybe like 12:30 on the weekdays and like 1:30 on the weeknights, or 2:30 or something like that. Television would just go completely off. Maybe it was 1:30, but the radio has always been an amazing technology, and it still is. And if things go cold and you want to be able to communicate, like there's a lot of talk of, the power grid being a target of, outside interests, or who may want to shut down the American economy, or shut down the American machine. Well, the power grid is the place to start, and the EMP is, everything we do is reliant on that. And if something was to happen, man, we would see. We would see so quickly why it's so bad to be relying on that. And I'll be honest, I run my business almost completely online. I mean, so it would be
even a solar flare,
Yeah, so it would be
solar flares.
A nightmare to have all that stuff go out. But everything, especially when you think about all of our emergency services, we transferred everything over to that. But I mean, if all that goes out and something was to happen, you will be able to communicate by radio waves, things like ham radio, which does require a license, but that thing can transmit a crazy distance. Let's see how long can radio type transmission distance. Okay, we're talking let's see. Shortwave can go all the way around the world, right? We've got ham radio. I think it can go all the way around the world. Get it? Ham radio can. Oh, okay, 300 miles, up to 300 miles. So
we could do that, man.
What's the other one? I think radio. Do you have to be licensed to operate a ham?
I don't think so.
Let's see.
I mean, it depends. I think it depends on which waves you're on. Like if you're on, I'm not sure. And they've changed a lot of it. It's hard to really. A lot of agencies have went to digital. With their emergency communications and stuff.
Yeah, you do.
So it's a little bit.
You do.
But I'm pretty sure Irwin, you can still hear theirs.
You do have to have a license to transmit on a ham radio, but if you had the ham radio, you don't have to have a license to own it. So, I mean, if you had a ham radio and in the power grid goes down, I don't think anybody's going to prosecute you.
Who's going to enforce it? Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
I mean, they've got triangulation devices. You ever see that movie Pump Up the Volume with Christian Slater?
It's been a long
Man,
time.
I love that movie, man. He was like basically like he was like a radical shock jock, in like California in the 80s. He's a teenager, but it was a lot of fun. I've not seen it in 20 years, but I loved that movie. Just the whole idea of it might make me cringe now to watch it, but just the whole idea of
Oh, he was like a pirate.
he was a pirate
like
radio.
a
Yeah,
pirate.
he was going around in the van, just basically telling the people around there that their whole shit sucked, and he was the only one that had the balls to say it. Yeah, basically, he was. I mean,
And Scanner Darkly. Scanner Darkly, that's what happened. And the van pulls up and snatches Alex Jones and drags him off.
Yep. Yeah, that's a good film. Philip K. Dick, based on a Philip K. Dick story. I forget who directed it. Who directed it?
I'm not sure. They're cool though. Who the hell made that movie? That's a weird movie.
It's a director we recognize. Let's see. First, I want to see how far a CB radio goes though, because 5 kilometers to 30 kilometers. So, CB, what's 30 kilometers? Like 20 miles? No, not that much.
Yeah, Philip
7 miles. Philip K. Dick wrote the novel. Did he direct the movie? He's dead, ain't he? Or is he? I just always assumed he was dead.
So 1977, yeah. Oh.
Richard Linklater.
Directed by
Yeah.
Linklater. Yeah, Richard Linklater.
He's an interesting guy. Yeah, I knew it was somebody we'd recognize.
Yeah, it's an odd movie too. It was out there.
Yeah, it was. It's kind of hard to follow. It's one of those you got to watch a couple times to really get what's going on. You kind of got to know what happens at the end of it before things at the beginning of it make sense to you. But I like movies like that. But Dazed and Confused is also directed by Richard Linklater. So it's opposite kind of side of the spectrum. But
But they're both great,
I love Dazed and Confused, but one of the things I was talking to a friend of mine about, Unibluffer, a friend of the channel and a viewer of the channel. One of the things that we always remember, one of the things that stuck with me about that movie, is one of the little taglines in there, one of these little programming lines, and that was the history teacher before when school let out. She says, "In this summer, I'm paraphrasing here. Remember what the 4th of July is with all the brouhaha." I know she says that, but she says, "Remember what the 4th of July is all about. A bunch of rich white men didn't want to pay their taxes," and that's something that really I think stuck with our generation. And we all felt cool saying things like that. When we were like 14, and I feel like it stuck with a lot of us. I think that movie came out in like '94, and. That's like one of the things that I think people really took away from that movie, and I think that was a important part of the movie is that part right there. I want to real quick. I missed this part that I highlighted from Scannerfood that I wanted to read. They say many agencies have been able to encrypt when needed, and we understand that need, but when everything is encrypted, you would expect they would release information to the public. Sullivan County, Bristol, Tennessee has been by far the worst, with tremendous efforts made to shield the public from everything from school bus crashes, mass jail overdoses, to gas leaks, to manhunts and homicides. So I wanted to mention that one to you there, because
And it's a mouthful.
Yeah, as we get into Bristol, which is in Sullivan County, stuff like this, the news put this out there, but this is the kind of thing that Scannerfood will hear and alert the public directly. So, maybe the police are after this, and this is all hypothetical, but I'm just saying, let's use this as an example. The nearby to this, you're sitting in a cafe around the corner, and you check Scannerfood, and you see that these two have been that somebody's been accosted and mugged just right where you're eating, and you're like, okay, I'm going to wait inside here and I'm going to watch my surroundings before I leave. I'm going to be very careful as I exit this building to make sure that they're not around there. So with the encrypted radios, there would be no way for Scannerfood to be able to share that information with them. So I think it's very important. And I want to get back on topic now that I've got Aaron in here, because I want to bring up this part where, and again, this is Detective Christian Marshall for Bristol, Virginia Police. I got a quote from him. He says, "It might be broad daylight, but it can happen anywhere. Always check your surroundings. Don't have money in plain sight. Don't have anything of value in plain sight. The most important thing is to check your surroundings." Now, folks, we used to live in a place here in the Tri-Cities where you didn't have to worry about that too much. But according to Blake Putnam, who's a barber at the salon, he says he's not surprised that this incident occurred. He says, "We have people urinating and defecating just right here in the middle of the alley behind us, just in broad daylight. It's kind of like the Wild West down here." And, you know, that sounds a lot like things that we hear from cities like San Francisco, Portland, Seattle, places where we have just, I mean, let's be honest here.
So there's been like an influx in Bristol recently?
Let's just be honest here. The leftism run amok is where we usually see this kind of thing. I mean, whichever political side you're on, that the most, and we're not just talking like progressive liberals, we're talking like the most like, super left liberals, in the whole country over here on the left coast. And, that's where we normally see that sort of thing. And we also have it in places like Memphis, but, the more liberal cities in Tennessee too. But what is it about cities that just kind of breeds this, why are they all liberal, do you think? Why do they have progressive policies, and why do we have progressive DAs in a lot of these cities that refuse to prosecute basic crime, like, people getting mugged, and then you have somebody making excuses for them and saying, "Oh, well, it's just they're a product of their upbringing. They couldn't help it."
Well, you want to follow the money. You want to see who's funding them. You know what I mean? Like if there's any lobbyists involved, or generally there's an angle. You just got to figure it out. You got to figure out what the certain people are, what their agenda is.
Well, I think we've heard
footing the bill.
We've heard a lot about George Soros funding DAs in a lot of these progressive cities. Do you think there's any chance that, is it outside the realm of possibility that somebody like Soros, if not, it doesn't have to be Soros himself, but do you think we're having PACs that are funding, local attorney generals to, go soft on crime? Or do you think it's just a consequence of us being, I personally think it's a consequence of us, our city leaders, trying to grow the Tri-Cities past what the capacity of the cities to deal with all the things that come with that growth are.
Well, Johnson City's definitely headed in the right direction now that they've moved the bus station. That's one thing I've always said is, like, if they would just move the bus station, then a lot of the homeless issue downtown and just crime in general would probably cut in half at least, and it seems like it has. They got Sean Williams out of there, and they moved the bus station, or closed it, and they moved to Green.
Oh man, you know what I just thought of? I wonder if they caught Sean Williams on the smart poles. Holy shit, that might totally change my opinion on the smart poles. No, not really, but it's an interesting question, because he was right there near where he was right where the smart poles are.
That German Shepherd got his ass. The woman that worked at the gas station, I guess, she saw his tattoos from what I read in an article, and it was a local county, Florida County, I want to say Tampa area, I guess. But they turned the dog loose. They probably had something in his with the dog smell, and turned the dog loose and found him under a tarp. I think that's what it said.
Cool. Scannerfood says ham radio operates different bands, including shortwave, so you can talk around the world. All right, so SHTF situation, we'd be fine. So he looked pretty messed up, and I saw that he was found on because the woman had seen him on News Nation, did several reports before he was found.
Yeah, they did a really good job.
And I wondered when I saw that, I was like, do people actually watch News Nation? But I guess they do.
It's like a newer and upcoming one. It's like Bloomfield. That chick Bloomfield, she's like really killing it.
Is
Apparently,
that right?
right now. Like, yeah, she does some like investigative journalism, kind of like James O'Keefe style, but a little bit more like more mainstreamy.
Yeah.
But she's still doing it. It's cool, whatever. You know, she helped us catch Sean Williams. You know, so I'm not gonna complain about it. That's one less freak out there making child porn. So
Yeah.
I'm cool. You know, with
No
that.
doubt.
But yeah, eventually, like you said, with the smart poles, there'll be nowhere. It'll be illegal. It'll be illegal to go outside without your phone, your vaccine passports, or whatever.
Oh man, do you realize how hard they pushed that? I mean, that was the ultimate goal of that, right? Was so you had to go everywhere with your phone, right? So that your phone could be scanned everywhere you go, and then eventually you would just get.
In the Obama phone.
Yes.
And even the immigrants, I heard they're giving the immigrants free phones at the border.
Dude, I think the Obama phones, the whole thing was to collect data on people and to propagandize them with.
Well, they can monitor them because it's government property. Like, it's a free phone funded by the government, then they can track everything.
And when they collect all that data, they can then turn it back around on you and feed you advertising, feed you content to affect your behavior. And you know that might sound crazy to some people, but we've shown the documents on the channel where they have stated that explicitly that's exactly what they're doing with things like the Smith Mundt Modernization Act. I'm sorry, of 2013. Yeah, it is. It's the MUNDT. If you you know, I'm trying to say Mundt here. It's like a bundt cake, but bundt cake's way easier. So, oh God, I kicked the camera now.
Yeah, I've done changed computers and turned the lights on and off 4 or 5 times. This lamp behind me just keeps like casting this like horribly annoying bright light. So I'm just gonna.
Usually I can blame the dog when the camera gets hit, but that was all me. I was just straining so hard trying to say Smith Mundt Act that I kicked the camera. There we go.
I definitely think Kingsport's probably like the shadiest of the Tri-Cities, even more so than Bristol. Even, you know, it's just like
there's regular SWAT raids and, you know, armed situation, you know, armed face-offs with the cops there, or lots of incidents. When I work through Kingsport a lot, and I'll be driving through there, and there's like an armored vehicle rolling through, or I'll see on Scannerfood, you know, reports of tactical team at, you know, whatever street, you know, Sullivan Street, you know, something like that.
Is Scannerfood on X?
Yeah, they are. That's I reached out to them on X, and that was where I got in touch with them, and they sent me the response, or sent me the email there about the censorship. But basically their whole thing is right now their main goal that they're pushing, they don't think they're really being censored on Facebook so much as they are being a victim of spam, you know, spam flagging. And I've run into this with my business sometimes. You'll send customers an email, and because you've just sent them an invoice, and then they ask you to send them something else, and you send it, and then they, you know, because you've sent them 2 emails in a row from the same email, sometimes their Gmail will flag it to spam, yeah, and just be like, oh, you're getting repeated emails from this, and automatically flip it over. So a lot of this stuff is set up automatically, and social media is no different. So when they're trying to share this petition and get it out there, I mean, like I said, Scannerfood, I think, has 250,000 followers on Facebook. People watch Scannerfood.
Wow, that's awesome.
They've got 10,000 on X. So,
well, 26 is like, how many wrecks has there been on Interstate 26 in the last few months?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it seems like just recently it's been like a rash.
Yeah, it was crazy, dude. I would come down 26 this evening.
I love channels like that will give you a heads up, you know, like stuff like that. So yeah, I'm all for it, man. That's awesome. Yeah, if you can help me avoid a pile up or something like that, then yeah, that's awesome.
I came down 26 this evening from Gray, and I got on what's Gray, exit 19, and I got on Gray.
Yeah, I think so.
And went down to, but almost, let's see, from exit 19, almost halfway between 17 and what's it called? No. Gray's not. Okay, whatever. It was from Gray, between Gray and Johnson City, almost the whole way. There was double lanes of traffic going 10 miles an hour on the interstate, and the only thing in the way that I saw was there was a Mustang pulled over on the left side of the road that had pulled over to the
Everybody
center.
wants to get their phones out, They want to rubberneck and get their phones out and all this crap instead of just go.
Yep.
If you don't involve you and no one's getting hurt or anything, just the best thing you can do is get the hell out of the way in an emergency situation if there's officials already on site. You know what I mean? It's different if the wreck's just happened, there ain't nobody there, somebody's hollering, the car's about to blow up. Yeah, get over there and drag them out, But other than that, if you're in traffic,
yeah, Boone's Creek. Yeah, that's right. Thanks, Scannerfood. Yeah.
Just sit and rubberneck, and then like you said, you'll go up and there's a Mustang getting pulled over, and you're just like, I wish I could just like that Foo Fighters video, they get the giant hand and just slap everybody in the whole video. That's what I want to do to everybody in traffic on 26.
There wasn't even anybody. There wasn't a cop pulled anybody over or anything. It was. I'm assuming somebody was broke down or something. I don't know, but he had for some reason pulled over to the left side. Maybe he couldn't get over to the other side. They had his hazard lights on the inside, on the left on the interstate. And yeah, you do want to slow down and give that guy plenty of room, but for miles and miles, everybody was going 10 miles an hour. It's crazy, but I didn't. That's the longest I've seen one like that without an actual accident around here in a while.
Yeah, it's like the gold truck going through Mayberry. It's like everybody in town was just like, I don't know.
Well, definitely, again, want to remind you, if you're just now tuning in, go over to, I put the link in the description for the petition from Scannerfood there to stop the encryption of routine communications by the Virginia State Police. And again, if you haven't already, go and like Scannerfood on Facebook. Go and follow their Twitter page or their X page. And again, I can't stress this enough. If you believe in free speech, if you believe in the ability to communicate with one another, X right now is the most the most free speech platform there is out there. I'm glad to subscribe to it. I'm glad to. A lot of people will, they might make fun of you for spending money to be on a social media site, but I'm glad to pay for the premium site. It allows me to stream, to reach whoever I can get to join me on the stream. And it also allows me to support a platform that is saying, hey, look, we're the place where you can come and talk when other people won't let you talk, when those algorithms on YouTube and Facebook are stopping you from reaching the people who follow your page and want to see your content. That's where Twitter comes in. That's where X comes in. So we're new on X, so we don't have much of a following on there, but we're trying to build one. I want to support a platform that is... that is espousing my values. That's my values. what kind of Sigmund Freud crap is that? I guess I'm a little anxious, but we're also on Rumble for that same reason. Now we haven't reached enough of an audience on Rumble to be able to live stream yet. So if you would follow us on there.
Scannerfood. I just added Scannerfood on X, so I decided to.
All right.
On there. Armageddon Hours.
All right, awesome. Well, it's good to get the independent media out there working together and talking together, and we can share things that we feel that because if something comes up and we feel like it's important, we can share it amongst each other. We can get it out there between us and pages like Scannerfood, Elizabeth and Carter County Priority News and Alerts. And if you don't have one of these pages in your area, start one. You can do it anonymously. All you have to do is you don't have to get everything. Just whenever you have some time, throw the scanner on. When you hear something, share it out there. Let's do some examples of some Scannerfood stuff. And Scannerfood, I'd like to see you on X more, man. Y'all aren't on there that much as you're on Facebook. I don't really care for Facebook that much, but I like X a lot.
They banned me on Facebook. I can't even get on there. I don't even have Facebook anymore. So. Yeah. My Instagram's gone too. The only thing I have left is my YouTube channel, and that's it. Just YouTube and X. And I just got the X, so we'll test the waters. We'll see how long it takes me to get thrown off there. They'll do that,
Yep. All right. Well, let's do a little bit more on this one here in Bristol, and then we got one more story I want to look at on school choice in Tennessee, and then we'll call it a night, and we'll get back to you this Sunday. This will be I haven't decided. It's going to be Christmas Eve this coming Sunday, so. I may just be feeling froggy and do a Santa Claus stream for you guys that night at midnight or something like that. I don't know. We probably won't do a regular channel next. I mean, that's next Sunday. So we probably won't do a regular episode then. But this coming Sunday, we will be live in studio. I'm not sure what we're going to do just yet. I've got a few episodes written again that I'm going to keep you guys guessing on that. Have you showing up for, hopefully, what turns out to be a good surprise. So let's finish up with this story back here. We're going to go back to Putnam, the barber there at the salon in downtown Bristol. He says, we have people urinating and defecating just right here in the middle of the alley behind us, just right in broad daylight. It's like wild, wild west down here. I was having... Yeah. Baker, the detective Baker says, I think as a business owner, and I probably speak on behalf of everybody down here, we don't want our patrons to be afraid to come in and frequent if our businesses... No, that's the owner, okay. That's the owner of the salon. We don't want our patrons to be afraid to come in and frequent our businesses. It could be detrimental to the businesses if people are afraid. Yeah, absolutely as it is. That's why businesses pay. Do you know what kind of taxes a business pays? Do you have any idea? Do you? Sorry if I didn't mean to blow out your eardrums there, but seriously, do you have any idea the kind of taxes that business owners pay? It's insane. Especially a retail business, where you have to pay a city sales tax on that. I mean, it's insane. So, these guys
got a little doo-doo for you.
The whole point of this, right? We talk about libertarianism and anarchism sometimes on this show, and we talked about before. The city is actually a corporation set up within the county, and it's actually a private corporation that's created by the citizens who live in that geographical area within the county. And one of the things they have is a police force who are, deputized by the county, but in effect they are actually a private police force. So this is what your taxes or extra taxes when you pay for it to the city go to. Is to funding things like this. So if you are a business owner and you're getting this kind of things right outside your business, you kind of wonder what you're paying for, right? So, but then at the same time, it's like, these cops got their hands full too.
Streets. It's like a Cannibal Corpse song, it's like feces in the streets.
Yeah, for real.
It's just like brutal, like disgusting. Downtown Johnson City was horrible when I lived down there. I lived down there for years, and it's just open your door, go outside. There's just some dude laying in his own vomit, or some dude like a mid turd flop on the sidewalk. The only other place I've seen like doo-doo on the streets like that was Chicago, and I watched a dude, like, he didn't even stop walking, man. He just shuffled his pants down, just shot that thing out and just kept going. Didn't wipe or nothing. Didn't wipe. That's what blew my mind. I was just like, did you see that guy just do? And he just shot that turd out of his butt and didn't even wipe. He just kept.
Oh Lord.
Going. Yeah, it was rough, man. I was like, God.
Thanks, Dalton.
The Johnson City guy.
Thanks, Dalton. Now, viewers of our channel will know that I have said on several occasions, don't be too hard on Biden and for stuttering. He does plenty of other stuff that you can be hard on him for. Public speaking is hard. I have a hard time with it. I stutter and slip a lot, and sorry about that. Thank you, Dalton. And Scannerfood, you'd think T-Dot would put cameras up along I-26, or at least fix the one to I-8126 that have been down all summer. What kind of cameras do you mean? Do you mean monitoring cameras so they can, so we can kind of keep an eye on those, or what is that there? I'm not aware of those. What is that, Scannerfood?
I think it's just like he's talking about like the crash camera, or just like in sections they'll have cameras. Mm-hmm. It's just kind of like a monitoring thing. So if there's a wreck, you can get on there live and see it. But I think what he's saying is those live cameras.
Well, we don't have those. You would think at the interchanges and the exits that we would have them. Sorry, folks, I'm getting a little stuffy here tonight. Traffic cameras, okay.
I know Sevierville up here, they've got them everywhere. They've got odd things like that, holes, and stuff. And up here, the crosswalks will yell at you up here, which is cool, if you're disabled or you're deaf or blind. It does many different things. They flash and there's braille on them, and but they're very aggressive. They're aggressive. They're like, oh wait, like when you hit the thing, it tells you to wait, and it's all aggressive and hateful.
Well,
I'm like, wow.
I mean, things like that are the kind of things that we talk about that are cool for the smart city. Those are kind of things that we would want for technological advances. You know,
I'm sorry, we did already talk.
Well,
about
no,
this.
but I mean, let's have our cameras work together. Let's have our cities work together to best benefit the citizens. Let's have it protect them from crime, but let's not. Collect data on everybody in the city and like build a profile on everybody, regardless of whether they're involved in a crime or whatever it is. Keep track of every car that comes through town for an
carbon tax.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's what will be used to implement all these things that conservatives are against, and we feel like we're protected from because we live in a conservative area. But all these things that we're adding. Like I said, the TVA system, TVA mostly. I like most of what they're doing, to be honest. But they're still a I mean, we're talking modular nuclear reactor down the road here in Tennessee. That's going to be a good thing, I think. They want to do a series of those. Hey, I think that's great. But at the same time, they are a corporation owned by the federal government, and they don't have the same rules, namely the Constitution, that the federal government has restricting them, and they act basically as an arm of the government and not the government at the same time, and they're funding these things in Johnson City, so they're collecting all the data from them. So is that necessarily nefarious? No, but do we have the paperwork? Do we have the receipts from the federal government saying in 2015 that this is how they're going to get into our local municipalities and have a way to have a say in them? I think that's something we should look at.
Well, let him knock it all out. Let him knock the power grid out. Let him take the internet, because I'm going Red Dead Redemption mode. I'm just getting me a horse and a revolver, and it's on.
Dude, I really feel like I could build a buggy. You know, I'm telling you, since I built this deck, I feel like I could do anything.
I was dating this chick, and I would play Red Dead Redemption all the time. She called it the horse game. She'd be like, "Oh God, are you gonna play the horse game?" Yeah, because you pretty much like, it's fun if you're playing it with somebody else. It's just kind of like a guy that's like riding a horse out in the desert, like.
Yes, right, Scannerfood. If it's shared with the public, yes, it's a benefit. Oh.
Yeah, well, I don't think we could have really got as much attention on Sean Williams if it wasn't for the community really just so collectively in pockets.
It really is.
Online, you know what I'm saying? It brought attention to that, and it should have. It's good. We got that monster out of here.
And I think one of the things was he was so there were so many victims that so many people knew somebody who'd been affected by it. Oh, thank you, Scannerfood. You're just getting started. Hope you'll join us again. You'll really see.
I personally know a few of these women, and it's sad, man. It's sick, and I'm glad he's in jail.
Yeah. Well, let's.
But independent media is important so when things like this happen, and it's to turn the heat up. You know what I'm saying? You've got to turn the heat up on certain things, and us as a community, as fathers and just people in community, whether you're a parent or not, just everyone should want to make sure that this is not green flagged. We've got to be like, we got to make people uncomfortable to the point where if something like this ever happens again, they're going to do something.
Yeah, it's not fun to talk about, but it's necessary to talk about. We can, it's one of those things that, it's real easy to just sit back and pretend there's not a problem if it's not affecting you directly. But with so many people that it is affecting directly, it's hard to do that anymore. So many people were speaking out of this. Again, we had News Nation involved. The dude was caught down in Florida, and who knows what'll happen now. I mean, if you and I are correct about what that guy may be, as far as we were comparing it to something like a local kind of Epstein thing. We've got the idea that perhaps all the elements are there, except we don't know if other people were involved in any of those photographs or anything like that. So all the other elements are there, though. If that is the case, I mean, it's kind of like
human trafficking and all kinds of stuff. It's a ugly, and I have a feeling that more things are going to come out of this eventually. Slowly,
and I think they would, but I'm not going to say what I think is going to happen because we're on YouTube. But if you think about the whole, if he was allowed to escape, the similarities to Jeffrey Epstein there, and if you think about how
86.
Yeah, if you think about how Jeffrey Epstein ended up, I wonder if we could see similarities there too, if that's the case. Because if you think about if you have high profile local community members connected to him, and he has the beans on them, who does he have the beans on them for? Who else is he connected for that's outside of our local area? Who could be collecting this information for? And I wondered, I was thinking about this today, and I wondered, if you remember Kurt Alexander, the mayor of Elizabeth, and he was in a scandal several years ago, being caught in a hotel room. I think it was a couple or something, yeah. And but I wondered, man.
I don't know about that. I know it was Red.
But was he like set up? Did they try to blackmail him and it failed? You know what I mean?
It was a sting. Yeah, it was a sting, I believe, and I can't remember the details.
But it's almost like was this guy? Is this a good guy that they were going after and like attacking his weaknesses, which we all have. We all have vices. We all have things that somebody could get at us if we're at a low point in our life, and somebody approaches us with something that is enticing to us. And was he approached in this manner? And then it's just like we talked about with the Playboy Mansion and Hugh Hefner and the Epstein Island and all this stuff. How basically they get you enticed and then they collect you on camera doing something, whether it's smoking crack or using prostitutes or whatever it may be.
If you're in any kind of position of authority or government position like that, you need really the only option you have is to be good. Don't break the law, because as soon as you do, somebody could be waiting there.
Yeah.
As soon as you're compromised, you can wind up in a hellish nightmare.
Yeah.
Like the guy up here in Gallenberg that ended up coming off the Space Needle and hitting the pavement. Was in debt to the mob. I mean, things happen.
Yep. Yeah, Scannerfood just says it's funny how Washington County Sheriff's Office is the only one in Tennessee that's refusing to give arrest records. Yeah, that is funny. Yeah. Now listen, we're here with the Iron Mountain Hour. We are supportive of, the police officers taking care of protecting the community. We're not supportive of them violating people's rights, and we're not supportive of them protecting criminals, and both of which they do on a regular basis. So we understand we need orderly communities, and we're not, when we criticize the police or sheriff's office, we're not criticizing the idea that yes, we do have to have somebody to keep our community safe. I have children. Aaron has children. Most of y'all probably have kids. So we understand that. Now I do think that there are alternatives for so a lot of the ways that policing is done, but we're not one of these that's like, oh well, we're ACAB or F12 or whatever the hell these guys are saying.
No, hell no. I don't want to live in a world without the police. I mean, that's just me. I mean, you need it. You have to have the police, and you have to have these like special operations, SWAT teams and response teams and things like that for bombs. I mean, you really do need it, but I think it's more so the issue of
there's a lot of crazy people out there, but they give these guys free reign.
They just enforce the law. People give the cops a hard time, but the people you should be giving a hard time to are the people who passed the bills and the laws that made that cop even be able to have the authority or initiative to want to come after you for whatever it is. You see what I'm saying? Like, it's in the law. They should enforce the law. Some people, unfortunately, abuse the law and they abuse their power.
Well, it's like
there's plenty of good men and women out there. There's tons of good cops out there.
Well, it's like with the whole George Floyd thing, Derek Chauvin. Okay, George Floyd died. Well, let's regardless of that, let's not get into that too much on YouTube. But we will say that Derek Chauvin followed the manual that he was instructed on for the situation that he was in. Mm-hmm. But you don't see him. You don't see him going after the people who wrote the manual, right? They only went after the officer who was following the manual, and it didn't matter in court when they showed that he was like, look, this is exactly what I was trained to do in this situation with a person, overdosing on drugs. This is the way we were trained to do it, and this is what we did. And
well, Chauvin didn't hate Floyd because he was black. Chauvin hated Floyd because he knew him from the community. They both did security together. So it was like he had he was begrudged about something, but he regardless, he used excessive force with that guy, and he should have, if he knew he put drugs in his mouth, he should have got him to the hospital. You see what I'm saying? There was things that he did that were wrong there. I'm not saying that are okay, because it's not. It's not okay to do that, but you got to think the size of that guy. He was huge, man. I wouldn't want him turning loose on me.
I'm not saying anything about what happened in there, because all I know is that they pretty much admitted that he followed the manual. The only point I'm making is somebody wrote that manual, right, but this guy is going to jail for following every step of it. So
he just got stabbed like 20 times.
Yeah, I heard that.
22 times.
Yeah, just in time for election season, right? Jason B says, "Where's Hunter?" Yeah, that's a good question. Hunter was subpoenaed and didn't show up. So are the Republicans going to grow some balls and put out a warrant for him like the Democrats did with Steve Bannon? Or are they going to whimper into the corner? Are they going to write a strongly worded letter of, "We tried to get Hunter in here and he wouldn't come"? Yeah, that's probably what they're going to do. I mean, let's be honest here.
It's all kabuki
Thanks, Jason.
Theater, you know?
Yeah, it is. All right, for the last story of the night, though, let's get out, to sum it up. Bristol, is it turned into a San Francisco? Is it turned into, like, Nashville? Is that what we're doing with it? I mean, the last thing that was said on here that I wanted to read was from Baker, who is the salon owner here. Crystal Baker. She's the owner of Vision Salon, and she says, and I think this is key right here. She says, "I feel like one crime leads to another. If you can get away with something so easily, then what's to say what's going to finally stop that from happening?" Says Baker. And I think she's right. The thing is, when these people are victimizing people in our downtown areas and our communities, we got to put a stop to it. We can't put up with it. Like, if people are pooping and peeing in the alley, and somebody reports them, and you go out there and there's poop and pee in the alley, arrest the people for public indecency, whether you saw them do it or not. I mean, that's if a few bums start getting arrested for pooping and peeing in public, they'll stop pooping and peeing in public. I mean, there's vagrancy laws on the book. There's shelters that people can go to. There are so many shelters. I've worked in these shelters. And most of them, there's always people there, but between them, there's always plenty of room for them. But the people don't want to go in because they have to stop doing drugs to go into them. So there's lots of options for these people. We don't have to let them poop and pee in our city streets and accost people in public. I'm not even saying that, and all cards played. I'm somebody who thinks drugs should be legal. But I don't think that public intoxication and, public defecation and urination should be legal. And that's one of the things that, people with regard to drug legalization, a lot of people think, oh, well, we just have people doing drugs. Well, we do right now. But the thing is, if people do drugs in public to the point that they are intoxicated and they're posing a risk to society, sure, arrest them. But if people, do drugs in the home, the privacy of their home, don't hurt anybody, don't have any kids around that they're neglecting, it's to their detriment, but it's not the place of the state to stop them from doing that. And it doesn't benefit society to stop them from doing that. But it does benefit society to not let them poop and pee in public. And thank you for coming to my TED Talk. So the last story I wanted to do tonight was Governor Lee. This is from Chattanooga Times Free Press. Governor Lee touts the school voucher program during the Chattanooga visit. Now, we recently passed in Tennessee a private school program, a voucher program. It's not perfect, okay? Tennessee Stands, if you're watching there, Tennessee Stands on X, you're a great page. I love your principles, and I agree with them. But the voucher program is not perfect, but it's a step in the right direction. Now, we've got a totally Republican state house. We've got a totally Republican Senate. We've got a Republican governor. It looks like we're going to stay that way for the foreseeable future. So there may be some tweaks in this thing we need to do, right? But we have the authorities to do that. And most of the people who are moving to Tennessee are going to be voting red. I talk to them every day in my business. I meet people coming in from California and Florida and New York, from Connecticut, from Ohio, all over the place, Washington, mostly California, New York, and Florida. But people are coming from Tennessee, and they're coming here because Tennessee is the way it is. That's why they're coming here. So, hey, Nashville, local state reps, state senators, Governor Lee, do not try to accommodate everybody, right? Okay, Tennessee is inviting new people because of the way it is. So let's not start trying to, emulate some of our West Coast places where these people are coming from. Say, Seattle, Tacoma, Washington, or Seattle, Tacoma, Portland, Oregon, San Francisco, Fresno, these places out west. Up New York, we're getting a lot of people from New York. A lot of Long Islanders have given up, and you can't really blame them. And when I talk to them, they're like, I'm not really a conservative, but I do have a lot of positions that people would consider conservative, just because I'm for less government in almost every case, and I do I do always vote Republican, but it's not like that I completely agree with, the Republicans, and I don't consider myself Republican, but Jesus, like, what are you going to do? Vote for fucking Ralph Nader, or, no, not Ralph Nader, but, what are you going to do? Vote for Liz Warren, I mean, the position here that we're looking at is, on, the voucher program in Tennessee, and it is basically the idea, and I've advocated this for a long time, is if you as a taxpayer have a child that goes to school in Tennessee, do you want to send them to the failing public schools, or do you want a voucher where you can take to a private school of your choice, or you can stay in the public schools if you want, but you can take that voucher and go to a private school? So it allows people, now right now, there are private schools in Tennessee, but only the people who can afford them, could afford the tuition, can send them. Basically, the idea of the voucher is that instead of giving that money that's allocated from state resources and federal resources directly to the school that your child is going to, those resources would be given to your family to choose which school that you want to go to them with. And you could actually have homeschool and choose to take those resources for yourself for homeschool. Now, Tennessee stands...
That's the best option.
Oh, yeah, I agree.
Nowadays,
I agree.
Yeah.
And I have... my son has had great results in public schools. It's been good for him, but it's not that way for everybody, and I don't think it's necessarily the best way that he could have been. I think private school probably would have done him better. I don't have.
Well, the world wasn't as bad, He's older now, He's a little older. Luckily, you got lucky with it. It was like right there on the cusp of having to deal with that.
Well,
with the changes, because the world's totally different. Like, the world right now is not even the same, like, resemblance of the same place it was even in 2016.
No, it really is like a different world.
Yeah.
But this setup here, Tennessee Stands, one of the problems, and Tennessee Stands on X, if you haven't followed them, if you're a conservative or a libertarian-minded person, definitely go follow them. It's a good page to follow on X, and they make great points on this. No, so I don't want to diminish the point they're making, but I think this is infinitely better than where we were a month ago, right? So let's get with Tennessee Stands, and let's pressure our legislators to fix this thing and fix these things. And some of the problems they have is, this still allows home schools to come under the jurisdiction of the state, right? So you have to conform with state policies. Now,
there's always a catch,
So, it still has a few things that need to be worked out, and it also, it doesn't, like, if your school district, like, say my kids go to, and they don't now because they're grown, but they don't go there anymore. But say my kids go to Hunter here in Stony Creek, and that's their school district, right? That money, their school is still going to get that money, even if I take a voucher and take them to a private school. the school, the $8,000 per student that's allocated to Hunter School is still going to go to Hunter School. So Tennessee stands as right that it is pulling extra money. Now we do have a budget surplus here in Tennessee. We're one of the few states that can say that. But
well, they need to do something with all that lottery money. You know what I'm saying? Isn't that what it's supposed to go to? Is like the educational system?
It does, and it funds a lot of it. I mean, it really does. We spend, I mean, not the most in the country, but we spend a lot on education. We spend a lot more than we need to, probably. And I will say, though, I did a check on our Carter County Board of Education, and all the positions, like a lot of school systems have the problems of too many administrative personnel, right? Too many people who are
making too much
money, and they're not having any direct effect on the student. But everybody that we have in our local school board here, it's like, yeah, we need a special, for the county. We've got like, I don't know how many dozens of schools in the county. For the county, yeah, we need a special education coordinator over the whole county. We're going to need somebody to basically oversee that, right? We're going to need a sports. Sure. We're going to need somebody for sports over, all the different athletics over the whole county. Yeah, we're going to need a guy for that. So we pretty much had just the basic amount of administrators that we would need in our area. So I was pretty impressed with that. Let's finish it up tonight, though. What do you think in the chat about the school choice program? Do you think it's a great idea? Do you think it's a terrible idea? Do you think people should be able to choose which school their children go to, even if they can't afford to go to a private school? Do you think, because this is the case, do you think that people who can afford to go to a private school should still receive the tax credit? That's another big question. Now, I think they should. I think anybody who has a child, if we're going to offer a tax credit of $8,000 per child to go to the school of your choice, then I don't think that income should matter. Now, this will, honestly, people who have a higher income will still have more of an advantage because, they'll be able to pay more. They'll have an $8,000 increase on the amount of money that they're going to be able to afford for their child's private school. So they might be able to afford, a $20,000 a semester or a year private school per child, instead of an $8,000. But that's helping everybody. And we already have public education in Tennessee. I don't really agree with public education. I think it's really gone. That's why our education has gone downhill, is because it's been public education, and it's gone pretty much downhill consistently since it's been federalized. From
coast to coast,
yeah.
Too.
But when the states ran education, it did go downhill too, but it took a lot longer than when the feds took over with the Department of Education. I think that was under Jimmy Carter. So we've only had the Department of Education a little over 40 years, and it would be great if we just totally got rid of it. But at any rate, because it's failed in its mandate, 100%. But at any rate, we're at 11:13 tonight. If you have anything to tell us, you can tell us at the ironmountainhour@gmail.com. You can message us on X. We are at Iron Mountain HR. We are on Twitter. We're on YouTube at IMH Live. And at the ironmountainhour@gmail.com if you want to send us an email. Follow Aaron at he's Armageddon Hour Podcast on YouTube and on X, and definitely show up here and check us out Sunday. We're going to have a good one for you. So glad to have you with us, Scannerfood, Jason B., Dalton, everybody in the chat. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. We would love to have y'all back on X. Definitely go subscribe there. Watch us on X. Watch us on Rumble. Free speech platforms rule. YouTube's good, but we want to have somewhere to go just if YouTube decides we can't be around anymore. They already hit us a couple times, so definitely subscribe to those other platforms. Let's all stay in touch. Let's get ham radios, right?
Hell yeah, I'm down, dude.
Red totally night, down. Cliff, says Dalton. Red night. Thank you so much for joining us. It's been a good night, and we will see you Sunday. Thanks, Aaron.
See you guys.